seems okay.
Somebody needs use of this frequency, KC9UDX here. Well, hearing none, I will say good evening. This is KC9UDX. My name is Matt, and I welcome you to the 2 a.m. net. The purpose of this net is to promote the use of amplitude modulation and also to establish this part of this band as a place for AM activity in this area. Everyone is invited to listen. Licensed amateurs who can do so legally are encouraged to check in. We listen in the AM mode and transmit in the AM mode where possible. If you cannot transmit in AM, we encourage you to listen in AM and transmit in FM. If you are transmitting in FM, please adjust your transmit frequency a couple kCs above or below from our receive frequency. This facilitates the use of slope detection, that is, demodulating your FM signal with our AM receivers. When checking in, please announce your call sign in standard phonetics. Again, this is KC9UDX. My name is Matt, and I will now begin accepting check-ins. Any stations wishing to check in, please come now.
KC9UDX. This is N9CXK. I'm at.
All right, got one so far. Recognizing Carol, N9CXK. Carol, you may want to turn your microphone gain down if you can. You're sounding a little too loud here. Maybe it's something on my end, but definitely sounds a little too hot. Do we have anybody else? Come now, please.
Whiskey Bravo 9. Bravo Whiskey Papa.
All right, got one more. Got recognizing and welcoming Dave, WB9BWP. And Carol, maybe disregard what I said. Might be something here on my end. We'll see. Do we have anybody else? All right, hearing none, we'll go to the top of the list. I don't have too much to report. I guess I've got a little bit of a story. I'll probably bring that up later here. And of course, I guess we've got this big snowstorm, which isn't anywhere near what they were predicting, I don't think. But Carol, N9CXK, it's your turn from KC9UDX.
KC9UDX and N9CXK. Very good. How's the audio now? Is it different?
I would say it's a little better. Maybe could do a little bit better, though.
Well, I'll have it turned off here in a second.
Did we lose you, Carol? Excuse me, did we lose you, Carol? KC9UDX.
seems the same here.
All right. Well, then I guess go ahead, take it away.
Okay, I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm looking at this. When I talk, I'm modulating upwards very nicely on the power scale. I have my power turned up about, I don't know, 80%, 85%, I think. And the miking is way down. I've been using the radio on sideband, and I did not have any complaints at all. So we'll try this. Yeah, the storm has not materialized in quite the same way. It's a pretty icky storm. It's just wet, and sloppy, and messy, and cold, and windy, but not a big storm that would stop anybody from going anywhere. And that's really fine. That's fine with me. Even for that, we still had some decent power outages today and later in the day. So I guess that's the watchword for right now. What else? Well, here, Dave, there's a contest going on. It's not a contest. It's a activity promotion, I think. It's called Winter Heat. That's simplex operations on a couple of 2-meter frequencies, or they're trying to teach people how to operate on simplex. I didn't know that was an issue, but maybe it is. So today I went through and I cataloged all the simplex channels on 2 meters FM that are popular, and then the ones on Fusion, the ones on DMR, and the ones on D-Star. So I can put them all in my various radios here, so I'm prepared for some of that. But apparently this activity runs for the month, and you're just accumulating some kind of points, I guess. I don't know. Sounds kind of interesting, though. So I thought I'd participate in that. KC9UDX and 9CXK. Boy, I sure hope you can hear me.
Well, I can hear you now. Sure, I'm getting out. Looks like I am. I'm going to have to disassemble my radio again one of these days. The backing on the meter where the scale is printed on is starting to bend from age. It's plastic, and it is interfering with the needle now. So I got to tap on it to make the needle work. Anyway, you are still a little loud, but not objectionable. I'm not going to worry about it. I guess I'm not surprised about the power outages. I'm surprised it isn't much more. The snow is very heavy, and it's so dense. I had to stop short today. You know, I slowed down for what I thought was a stale green light, and then you get to the point of no return where you realize it's not going to turn yellow, so you have to gun it and get through the light. Well, as soon as I made that decision, the light turned yellow, so I tried to stop, and I ended up sliding to a stop, which was not really a problem. But what was interesting is when I slid to a stop, my tires plowed up a little bit of that heavy snow, and had I been in a little car with 2-wheel drive, I would have been stuck there. I had to use quite a bit of effort to get over the snow that I plowed up there. And I had not heard about this winter heat. That sounds interesting. I guess I also didn't realize that anybody had an issue with using simplex on FM. But I guess whatever it takes. And with that, next we'll go to Dave, WB9BWP from KC9UDX.
Okay. Good evening, folks. And, yeah, Carol seems louder, but not objectionable over here. I was looking at the radio and you first stepped in there. It's like, wow, that was loud tonight. But maybe that's just how signals are. Or maybe that's the snow on the antenna. I don't know. Let's see, snow is kicked up with my wind gauge, wind indicator on the weather station up there, so it's not moving. And I have snow on all of my wires and coax and things, but the open wire line, interestingly enough, was covered in snow earlier this afternoon, but it's not as of about a half hour ago. So, everything at least is okay here. And, yeah, well, you know, nowadays with the 24-hour news and, you know, every station has, you know, like 10 weather people and stuff. They have to blow up everything a lot more than it ever was in the past. Hey, I drove across town to our ham fest last year, which happened to be on that day in March. We had a foot of snow, and I made it there. And you know, driving home afternoon, of course, there was nothing. The roads were clear, everything was fine. But 4 o'clock in the morning, there was a foot of snow. That winter heat thing, or whatever, that's the Illinois guy started that. Everybody's copying theirs isn't exactly like ours. The FM Simplex contest, which we started in, MRAC started in 2003. And that takes place at just a couple hours. Look here, February 25th, on Sunday, 1 o'clock is when that started. And yeah, that was originally started, ours was originally the idea of Sharon Swanson, what was it called? Or is it called KB9Q, I think? And it was a similar thing. It was like, let's show people that you can talk simplex and not using the repeater. And that may sound odd to us here, but you'd be surprised how that was by radio. Nothing else, they just don't change the timer. You would be surprised how many people out there, new people, you know, they go out, they buy a Chinese HT or whatever, and put a couple of repeaters in, and that's that. In fact, I remember once hearing a guy talking, and somebody asked him, you know, he was talking to somebody on 2 meters. It was like during drive time. He's on a repeater, and the person he was talking to said, "Well, you know, what other frequencies do you operate, or you know, bands or whatever?" And this guy said, "Oh, no, I just have this one repeater programmed in the radio, and that's all I talk on." So, anyway, and FM Simplex contest hours. The participation over the years has kind of, you know, gone up and down. I guess it's been kind of, it picked up last year. For a couple of years it was getting pretty slim. But anyway, that's a whole lot of talking there. This weekend was the LBRY Roundup, where mixed in with the operations I've done over the last 2 years, I now have Warsaw State ready. But as of about a half hour ago, there's, I think, 3 that haven't confirmed yet. I'm on Book of the World, so I may still have some contacts to go, but I kind of impressed myself there. I did like 230-some contacts over the weekend. The read contests are actually pretty easy. You know, you're not talking. I think that's the biggest thing. I actually put in like 13 hours, which is more than I usually do. I better just turn it back now. This is WB9BWP.
W9JCC.
All right, and there we got Frank. I'll say welcome to the net, Frank. And fine business, Dave. Excuse me. I guess what I'll do here is I will turn it over to Frank, and then I will comment on what all you said there. W9JCC from KC9UDX. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Well, I don't have too much to comment on what you fellows have been talking about, because I just got down here. I heard Steve's QST there on our repeater. And I did put it on my calendar this time, but we had just so much going on that I didn't think about it until I heard Steve. So we got a little bit of snow out here. I went out twice and shoveled. The first shoveling was unbelievably heavy. It was almost, I would say it was like 99% water, but it kind of hung together as a heavy slush. It was really tough. So it was only a couple inches, maybe an inch or two high, but I couldn't even lift the stuff. And then went out about 4 o'clock and did a second shoveling. That one was a little better. The snow was, it was wet but packing type, and was able to take care of that okay. So tomorrow morning we'll take care of the rest. I looked out, I didn't see much snow coming down on the camera, so maybe we didn't get too much more. So I'll turn it back to Matt and see who else is in here. KC9UDX, W9JCC.
All right. Thank you, Frank. And I guess my wife and kids have been shoveling. They really like to do that. Kids especially. They really like to shovel. So I let them do it. Otherwise, if it were up to me, I probably would just let it go. Except for having fuel deliveries in the winter, I really don't have any other good reason to shovel the driveway, I don't think. And Dave, the Hamfest last year was, that was a good example of how we don't need to get all excited and salt and clear the streets and stuff, because they had not plowed or anything yet. I guess they did a little bit, but they hadn't covered every place I went, and I had no trouble getting there. It was definitely interesting. I drove down some roads that I knew I could take to get there, that I knew other people wouldn't be driving on, just because I'd rather not drive on the roads everybody else is. And we ended up encountering some surprise speed bumps, which were, I don't know, there's got to be another name for these things. They're not speed bumps, they're way bigger, and it was kind of interesting. And the FM Simplex contest, I have not done that in years. I have to try to do that this year. I did pretty well the first time I tried that, only because I climbed up a tree and I used my handheld on 220, and almost nobody else was using 220. And I'll never forget, there was a guy, I'm not sure if he still lives near me, there was a guy with a very large 2-meter beam. Must have been doing satellite work, because he had a elevation and rotation, for his antenna. But he must have been running legal limit. Anytime he would transmit anywhere on 2 meters during that contest, he would completely wipe me out, which was really irritating. And gritty, I've never done that. I guess I sort of have the capability. I should try that someday. But I never get time to get on HF anymore anyway. And with that, I'm going to try to call Gary, W9TOF. So Gary, let's see if we can see if you can hear me and I can hear you, W9TOF from KC9UDX. All right, not hearing Gary. I'm going to try one more time. W9TOF. W9TOF from KC9UDX. All right, now we got you. So I will put you on the list. Welcome to the net. And Gary, I will go ahead and turn it over to you from KC9UDX.
Number one question back to you. Is my audio any better?
I would say no, but it is not objectionable. It's I can hear you just fine. The other guys may not, but I can hear you fine.
Okay, well, I'm still running on this antique radio, and other than plugging it in, I'm ashamed to say that I haven't done anything with it, and it's giving me little problems with the tuning. I don't know what it is, but that's why you weren't hearing me. I think I was losing grid line.
Well, it does seem to be working now, even if you are a little quiet. But that radio does seem to work. It's not too much different than my Gonsets here. Usually, when I get these things and I have never used them before, I turn them on for the first time in 30 or 40 years and they just work. Obviously, some components could use to be replaced, but not really necessary, and I guess that's the case.
Well, I got to get busy and work on some of this equipment I've got around here. I think. Yeah, it's dropping out. I'm going to just stand by and listen. 7-3 to everyone. W9TOF is clear.
All right, well, it was good having you, Gary. Thank you for popping in. I will say 7-3 to you. And we're at the bottom. Excuse me, we're at the bottom of the list. So I will see if there's anybody else that wants to check into the 2 a.m. net. Come now, please.
And November 9, Foxtrot, Sierra, Echo.
All right, got one more. Recognizing and welcoming N9FSE Steve. Do we have anybody else?
You got Dale trying, but I'll take a standby also. You got 89DW is also in there. I don't know if you can hear him, Matt. I'll take a standby from this stick here. Anybody for the 2 a.m. net? Anyone anywhere? We got you, Dale, and Peter, Matt's got you on the list now. Over. Alright, I got silence, and I take it you got my relay for Dale, Matt?
Roger. And I do not hear Dale at all, but the background noise tonight, it seems to be louder than normal, and that may be covering him up.
Yeah, I'm hearing a little static when there's nobody talking, so I got a full bunch of S-meter reports to the stations I've heard so far. Tuned in, I heard Dave talking. Once I got the station set up here, a little fun getting back to the site here. It hasn't been plowed, so glad I got nice snow tires on the truck. You know, it's a two-wheel drive truck. I just filled it full of gas for a little extra weight there. And it's almost like going up to the ski hill, except when I got to do the driveway to the ski hill, that's a nice incline. This is pretty level, so this was like easy peasy. Well, I'm gonna, if you don't mind, Matt, I'll throw it to Dale after me, and we'll keep in your order there of check-ins. And I heard you mention Carol, so I assume he's in here too. But like I said, I heard Dave, I heard Frank. Dale tried checking in before you picked it up, and then threw it to Gary. I got Gary, nice signal there. And then I took a pause there, and I heard Dale try again, and then I threw my call down. So a few comments on all the stuff here. And first, my S-meter reports. I got Matt, you at 30 over, Dave at 30 over, Frank at 40 over, I don't think that's unusual. I got to get a good S meter reading at Dale. I don't know if he's as big here as Gary. Gary, I have an S7 with no preamp on. All these readings I'm giving with no preamp on, and then I'm here on my list here. And the FM Simplex contest is fun. Got on the 220. I should probably see about that. And from the city, we got all kinds of speed, supposed traffic calming devices such as bump outs and speed humps, and the long ones they call speed tables. Usually you see some of these just, there's not so many of those, but places the speed humps usually see where the bottom of the cars have scraped along the tops of them as they crash down apparently. And, well, it'll keep you from going too fast, I guess. Bunch of mayhem, all of it, though. So, let's see here. Winter heat is something I was beating the drum on a while back, so I wonder if I could look in my old notes here and see if I come up with anything on that. But they're very big on their back end and the logging and points and all. It's good for the whole month, and they've been doing it, 2 or 3 years now. I think this is their 3rd year. And then the other winter event coming up that had a lot of buzz even last month is the Winter Field Day. It looks like I'll probably maybe be running 2 ski hills, so it's like the odds of me getting out to Winter Field Day unless I set up my own station are a little smaller here, so hopefully we can get my hill open. It's about enough to make some base based on what I see here in New Berlin, so hopefully West Bend's got about the same, if not more, nice snow for my ski hill. It needs the natural stuff. And glad that Frank heard my call, and good to hear Dave with all his usual good stuff. And to mention it also reminds me, I was going to throw out another QST for this net over on 3.9, but I ran smack and heard the rookie net going, so I'm like, oh geez, let's find a way to send more rookies over here or something too. So with that, we'll send it back up. Actually, I was going to send it to Gary, or not Gary, send it over to Dale. We'll send it to Dale and see what he has for us and see who we can hear. This is a 9 FSE. Dale? Dale, I got you at S7, same as Gary. And you didn't mention who you could hear, but maybe we can get that on another round. But Dale reports he's happy to check in here, and pretty good with Dave on the reading contest. He's got a mic stand going for HF, a foot switch hooked into his 991 here, so it's good to have him back in the back on this fun net here. So it's good to have everybody in here. We just need to scare up Jerry now, I guess. With that, back to you, Matt. NIFSC.
All right, thank you, Steve. Thank you, Dale. I could not hear Dale at all, unfortunately. I've got background noise here at about 2.5 on my 0 to 10 scale, which is probably as high as it's ever been. Between that and probably snow on the antenna attenuating signals, I could not hear Dale at all. Once in a while, knowing that I'm listening for him, I could hear his voice, on peaks, but otherwise, no meter deflection and could not really make out anything. But Steve, one thing I wanted to say, you mentioned about snow in West Bend. I guess I don't know what this second round is like, but my coworkers from north of 94 and beyond, when I arrived at work this morning, were all saying they had gotten no snow. So I don't know what the, like I said, I don't know what the second round did. Otherwise, I guess you'll find out. And with that, we are at the bottom of the list yet. Maybe Jerry or somebody else, Jim, somebody else is still out there waiting to check in. If there's anybody wishing to check into the 2 a.m. net, come now, please. All right, hearing none, I guess I'll tell the story I've been holding back. I bought a clock on eBay. I do that once in a while. I get a basket case clock and rebuild it. And I, for a long time, have wanted a 8-day OG clock. I don't know if you've ever seen an OG clock. They are named after the OG molding that goes around the perimeter of them. And this heavy OG molding hides weights inside the case. They are a stereotypical American clock. They were immensely popular in the 19th century. Just about everybody had one, or more than one. And I've wanted an 8-day one for a long time. I've got a real nice 30-hour one that keeps amazing time. But I wanted an 8-day one for a specific location. And I happened to be servicing a couple other clocks over Christmas on the dining room table. And while I was doing that, I think Google was listening, or eBay was listening, or whatever was going on. I got a notification from eBay for this 8-day OG clock. So I looked at it. It was in pretty rough shape. The description was pretty bad, and the price was not terrible. It was, I'd say, higher than it probably could have been, but not totally out of range for a clock in that condition. But on arrival, it turned out to be one of these, I don't know what you call it. I've been running into this quite a bit with these eBay sellers. They're just there to make a buck, and they're doing a really lousy job. Really lousy. This person was I don't know. This clock arrived wrapped in a real thin layer of cardboard that was just a cut up box that was retaped together in a different shape. Under that there was a real thin layer of bubble wrap. And then the clock was unprotected. The heavy weights, I don't know what they weigh, they're a couple pounds, were laying loose inside the clock. And there was a fragile do not drop sign written on the box, and I guess my wife said the UPS driver threw it at the porch. And so when I opened it up, the weights had been bouncing around in there and utterly destroying the clock, which was nowhere near as good a condition as the person had described it or that the pictures had shown. And it actually is completely not what was described. The case is a William L. Gilbert clock, but the innards have all been replaced with miscellaneous random parts. It's nothing original at all. I believe the movement is a Seth Thomas, but it's I don't know. I got to piece it together, figure out if it's even worth doing anything with. I think I can rescue the movement, but I don't know if I can do anything with the case. But that's my story. And I guess we'll go back to the top of the list. Carol, N9CXK from KC9UDX.
KC9UDX and the net, N9CXK. Okay, I'm sitting back a ways from the microphone now, hoping that you're hearing my audio. But, the simplex activity, I just thought it was interesting. I read about it online. You have to register your call sign so that you can have a place to put your points. Apparently, one station calls CQ. When the other guy answers, you have a quick QSO. And I believe the guy that calls CQ is supposed to log it, and then you get the correct amount of points. I think if you both log it, they don't like that. I don't know, there are a few things they didn't seem to like, so that might be just as much of a pencil exercise as anything. Last winter, no, 2 winters ago, I think. 2 winters ago, I was out ice fishing out here when you guys had the simplex contest. And I was out there, I took my HT, the long antenna, and who did I hear? I heard K9FI and his wife. They were in their car somewhere, and they were calling, and I called and called them. They never answered me. They never heard me. So I tried, and that was, I guess, just foolishness on my part. So, the Stormageddon was, again, not very exciting. It was very windy. It was very wet, very sloppy. If I had a couple inches here at some point today, that would have been a lot. I think that's about all, two, maybe 2.5, where I was out in the open. And here at my house, I came home and I quickly scraped the driveway off, pushed it out where when the plow comes down the driveway or down the road, down the hill, he just takes it with him. So I got out there and I scraped, and I went back out about an hour later and everything had melted right off the driveway, off the asphalt. So still pretty warm, luckily. We're going to get a little bit of snow tonight, another inch or something, and then tomorrow will be okay. And then the next thing starts on Thursday evening, I guess. I don't know, we're planning on going away. We're going to Detroit to visit my daughter starting this weekend. I don't know when we're going to go. It's going to be a big storm, and then it's going to get really cold, and I don't know. But I guess we'll figure it out. I could not hear Dale at all. I didn't hear any signs of him, but TOF sounded pretty good here. His audio was quite low, but it sounded nice, and his signal was okay. So, can't ask for much more than that. And I'll reiterate that I am on an IC746 now. This is a new radio to me. I've adjusted the power up about 3/4 or so, and I have the mic gain way down now because Matt thought it was very loud. So that's where we sit now. I'm just using a regular SM8 ICOM microphone, which has been working very well with various radios here. So I'm not going to change the adjustments on the microphone, but I will adjust on the radio as necessary. And I don't know much else. Used my 10-meter, I used an end-fed wire on the 10-meter net last week, and it performed pretty well on horizontal. So I was surprised and heartened by that. That'll be a good alternative if I can't use my squalo like tonight. Squalo gets wet, the SWR goes shooting straight up. So I think it's the way the matching arrangement works. It just isn't happy when it gets all wet. So I think I've talked long enough, and I don't have a timeout timer. So there. KC9UDX and IMCXK.
All All right, thank you, Carol. We don't need any timeout timers here. And, well, I think Gary Gary is quiet because he's using a worn-out D104. He may find out otherwise. He's going to, I guess, possibly rebuild that radio. That may be the best thing at this point. And maybe he'll find out there's something else causing the audio to be low. But otherwise, it's probably just a worn-out microphone. Unfortunately, these D104s are getting harder to get and harder to fix. And I guess the last time I saw the forecast, excuse me, which changes all the time anyway, I don't know why I bother, but I don't think they were saying the snow on Thursday would start until Friday. But who knows? And I suppose I should comment on everybody's signal tonight. Carol, you're 8, which is up from your normal 7. Dave, you're a 6. Frank is off the scale. Gary was a 5. Steve, you're a 9. And then Dale is below the weeds. But it looks like everybody but Carol is down just a hair. That's probably attenuation with a soaking wet antenna. And with that, we'll go to Dave, WB9BWP from KC9UDX.
Okay. And, yeah, I got a timer in the radio only. For the FM work, and I'm just too lazy to go in and turn it off. A couple of button presses. But, anyway, hey, I'm talking about timers. I'll throw in the story, because I always have to have stories. Two hands, they both have passed a number of years ago. They were of German descent, I'll say that much. That might give you a hint, but I won't say Carson. But they would get into these discussions, which would venture into religion and politics and whatnot. And they truly believed, because I had to jump in one time to correct them, they truly believed that repeaters in the area had timers on them so that people didn't have to listen to them talk too much. And I jumped in and told them that all of the timers are part of an FCC rule, unattended transmitters, all that. Oh, I didn't realize that. Yeah, all right. Anyway, I could not hear Gary at all, not even a hint in the radio. I could hear Dale because he's only a couple of miles east of me, but his audio sound, his signal was strong, but his audio sounds like he was talking at the end of a very long cardboard tube. That's the best way I can describe it. That's, just over here. That doesn't mean that it really is bad. That's just what I could hear. And Steve, of course, comes in like he's next door. Frank is not far behind. Carol's pretty good for my Carol, and Matt are probably about the same, at 7, 8, somewhere in that territory. And mentioning antennas, I'm always surprised that the antenna that I'm using here is actually still in one piece. It's a 17-foot stick with Cushcraft. You can't buy it anymore, and this was bought when Cushcraft was Cushcraft, not MFJ. That thing has been up. It's been up and down because I've moved the mast and stuff. But I bought that in the early 90s. I've kind of had to rebuild it a couple of times, put new coax connectors on it, because they use a pigtail coax, which I think is a stupid idea. Stand by just a moment. And it's 3 sections of fiberglass. And I've had to fix I've actually had to tape up the joints because their original plastic clamping things on there pretty much deteriorated, but nonetheless, it's still working, and hey, great. I don't know. I guess I covered everything. I'm just looking here. Oh yeah, MIT did special event on Saturday. I just worked them on 2 meters because I was playing in the RIDI contest. For 107 years of operation on 105 was an ARL affiliated club, and that's longer than anybody else. There were 10 clubs that affiliated in December of 1919, and I think it was 1970. We got a letter from the ARL Club. They tried contacting all the clubs, and we were the only one they could find. So I just instantly assumed the other ones don't exist. So that puts us in the top spot. Anyway, with that, this is WB9, BWP, back to net.
All right, thank you, Dave. And yeah, I think I would say it's safe to assume that none of those other clubs are around, because all the clubs that have been around that long are always trying to brag about something. So I think we have that one. That's good. And now I was going to say something, but I forgot what I was going to say. I didn't write anything down. Too busy listening and not writing. So maybe I'll remember here in a little bit. Otherwise, we'll go to Frank W9JCC from KC9UDX.
Okay, thanks, Matt. KC9UDX and the net W9JCC on the southwest side of Waukesha City. First of all, on signals, I copied Gary TOF and Dale ABNADW about the same, which was really no copy. I could hear them. They were very weak, and I could pick up a few words, but I could not, I wouldn't be able to carry on a conversation. So other than that, everybody else is coming in pretty good. Matt, your usual 40/9. Steve, 20/9. Carol doing F8, and Dave F7. So everyone else pretty good copy over here. And Carol, your audio sounds good to me. It sounds great. So I don't see any problem there. And Matt, too bad on that clock. That sounds like a real well, it sounded like they had two problems. The guy didn't pack that thing the way he should have, and so it wasn't up to original price in there. So I hope you can get that straightened out and working to some point. D104s, I've got two of them. I've had them for decades. One of them, the one I've got next to me here is a 1955, 56. I think I bought it new. Actually, I just bought the head new when I bought it, and then I made my own stand because I didn't have the money to buy the stand. But we got that, and that one's been in the basement all those years. Actually, it's been shipped. When we shipped it from Virginia to up here, the equipment was stored for a while somewhere, but when I took it out of the box, it had little wet droplets on it, and I had an MC-183 receiver that only played for a little bit, and then the transformer went out when we got it, so it was set up pretty not so nice storage. But the one that's upstairs, I think it was about the same vintage. I bought it at Dayton, maybe 30 years ago. And it's been in the patio winter, summer, spring and fall. It gets down to almost outside temperature in there. There's no heat. I guess I timed her out. And that one held up just fine. They both worked really good. And I used the upstairs one on the Heathkit gear, and I used the downstairs one on my Johnson Ranger. So I had not a little trouble with it. I know the unamplified, stop crystal cartridge type with the G stands. Anyway, talk too much. Back to that KC9UDX or W9GACC.
All right, thank you, Frank. I don't think it's possible to talk too much on this net. It's just fine. I too have two D104s. The one I'm using right now, I believe I got at the Jefferson Amfest. Excuse me. Oh, I don't know when. Maybe 10 years ago now. And the other one, I believe I wasn't at a Hamfest, but I don't know where it would have been. I believe I bought a CB just because it came with that microphone. And it's a D104 head on a, the bases, I can't remember. It's a real common microphone for CBs. And it's amplified. And I think I used it like that for a while with something, I don't remember what. And I believe I had to replace the element in it when I got it. It was, if I remember right, I was very disappointed to find out it just plain didn't work, and that was the only reason I bought the whole works. But at that time you could still buy replacement elements. And I really should take that thing off of that stand, or at least bypass the amplifier in it. It would be nice to have another one of these. I had a couple more of them, and at one point years ago, when I really needed the money, I sold them, which I regret now. I've got too many radios that use these things, and I've only got one. Anyway, we'll go next to Steve, N9FSE. And Steve, I guess you can send it to Dale and then back to me. N9FSE from KC9UDX.
Alright. KC9UDX in the net, N9FSE. And get another night out here without the extraneous blower making a bunch of racket in my background, so I should be nice like last month, hopefully. Happy to be here. Get things underway. I was wondering whether it was smart to bring the radio and the headphones this morning, but it was all doable. I still have to go home and get the snow scoop and push back whatever slush is left in the driveway by me, 5200 west on the northwest side. See how that does. Hopefully it's manageable. I just looked through some National Weather Service posts. They were soliciting reports for snowfall, and as general throughout the western areas here are mostly 3.5, 4, 5, 6. Well, sort of some areas of 6. Up at Hartford, there's some reports of 6 inches. So let's see if we get up at the ski area. Maybe they'll have us in very nice shape come this weekend. So, and got time to roll it out too. So that is great. We have our board meeting coming up Thursday night. So that's that going on as well. So lots going on there. Good to hear everyone. That's for certain. Only, like I said, we're only listening like Jerry and Jim. It looks like for the people that have been in regular lately. Well, Jerry hasn't been too regular, but he has been out here lately. So let's see here. Didn't just swung by the reading contest. Didn't participate in any of that. Got to see my brother over the holidays, and as usual, he finds better, cooler radios to give me than I find equipment to give him. But he got me set up with a Hermes Light 2, which is a nice SDR transceiver. And and I haven't talked out of it yet. I still got to whip up some better antennas and then work on the transmit part. It's only QRP, but a lot of people match them up with various amplifiers to get bigger range out of them, and just a big big rabbit hole to tear up with that. And the receive is just amazing. Just got a couple of grates basically in the house with me hooked into this thing, and I'm picking up medium wave like no tomorrow. It's got great selectivity, great sensitivity. I'm pulling in WSM in Nashville, and it almost pick up a station almost every 10 kilohertz, even if there's a signal nearby. So that's neat stuff that I get to play with. And I find the opportunity there. Carol, you sound pretty loud over here, but it's easy copy. And you said you're doing that. It's got a half wave on a 10 meter net. I wonder if that's the 1010 net or the MRAC net or both. And let's see what other notes I got. D104s I would mess with so much. And in the state I was helping with, I moved one a couple of years ago to Amfest. And they definitely got to be impedance matched. I remember back in my CB days, I'd hear people on those things and they never were impedance matched. Whatever stinking radios the CBers were using, so they always sounded like just awful. Just terrible. Tinny, like they were in the bottom of a garbage can, I always told them. I don't have the nostalgia for them so much, but I do know there is a place and a time for a good crystal mic, and something looks classic. Actually, that D104 looks pretty classic compared to your other styles of microphones for sure. So neat stuff there. I'll be turning it over to Dale, and I'm going to ask him if he's still with us, and ask him which stations he's heard, because that may be, he can give me numbers if he wants, but that may be more useful there. So I have a feeling the ones that barely heard him, he may have been the ones hearing them, but we'll see if he's got any surprises for us. And everybody warming up the radio here, we'll see what Dale has. 89DW, over to you from N9FSE. I got you S8 now. I get you S unit on this radio. So yeah, he's sure for those that didn't hear, he's here Frank and Dave and me pretty fair, Matt and Carol pretty low, and he's been following the show along via Matt's YouTube, so there's a good use for that YouTube, that's for certain. I almost gotta put that in the spiel or something too, or just follow along on YouTube, it'd be a good one. So, and then there was somebody who was in there briefly, Dale picked it up on the other one, he switched to a better antenna, and I got one SC that's better on him, so. With that, I'll send her back. I wanted to make a mention on who's got that? Somebody's running the 991. Dave? No, not Dave. Frank got the 991. Somebody's running a 991, and I know that somebody. We hear them occasionally on FM 38. Right out of the box, the audio is horrible on VHF and UHF on the new 991As, and I remember that usually they get adjusted stuff down a little bit. There's plenty easier this net. We were at Maryknoll Park, and he had a 991A, and we got pretty good reports on that. But that could be a tricky radio for FM or maybe anything, VHF, UHF. Up the mat, KC on a UDX and an FSE with the 2 AM net. Over.
All right, thank you, Steve. Thank you, Dale. When Dale, whenever you did, or whatever you did, switching antennas, I believe, Steve said, whatever you did, I got you on the meter at a 5, which is half scale, which is pretty good. And I could just tell you were talking, but I could not still make out what you were saying, unfortunately. And Steve, you know, I've always thought if I have a situation where this D104 stops working on these GON sets, they're designed to work with carbon button microphones too. I can always use an old phone handset. And I do have several of those around here if I ever thought I needed to do that. And now I was going to say something else here, and I completely forgot what it is. We are at the bottom of the list, and I'll see if we have any last-minute check-ins. Anybody wishing to check into the 2 AM net, come now, please. All right, hearing none. Well, we've gone about an hour. Normally we go quite a bit longer. I kind of would like to get to bed a little bit earlier tonight, though. So what we'll do is we'll make this the 7-3 round. But as always, no rush. Take as long as you like. Not trying to kick anybody out. But we will make this the last go around. And I had a couple other thoughts I was going to say here, and I can't for the life of me think of what they are, unfortunately. So we'll go first just to the top of the list. And Carol N9CXK, it's your turn on the 7-3 round.
N9CXK and the 2 AM net. Okay, great. Well, lots to talk about here. I think that was Dave. Dave, you must be the guy with the big, tall fiberglass stick that is an unusual antenna. Okay, I thought that was Matt, but I guess not. Because, yeah, there were manufacturers that made those big fiberglass sticks, and they had some amateur ones, and that's pretty cool to have a Cushcraft like that. That's great. Yeah, every antenna I get now, or any of those fiberglass antennas, I overwrap all the joints with the heavy rubber underground splicing tape, because nothing permeates that. It stays clean forever and ever. It's made to wrap the power cables after they make a splice. They always wrap them with this rubber splicing tape, and then a couple layers of the vinyl over that just to protect the rubber. But now we have hot and cold shrinkable splices and things that we use for the secondary wires. So D104s. I have one of the required D104s. Mine I got from a CBer who was a guy at work, and he gave me that. He gave me the Courier chrome-plated power amp. It was just an amplifier that matched some of their chrome-plated Courier 23 CB radios. And he gave me a Sonar FS23, which was a very cool CB radio too. Very simple, but a really well-made radio. So I had that D104 for years, and then I decided, well, I'm not going to have an old-time radio to use this with, so I microphones and headsets and all kinds of stuff. But he supplies elements and, you know, foot switches and hand switches and different kinds of less expensive microphones and things. And so I put the electret condenser element in, and I put a brand new nice curly cord on it, and I wired it for my ICOM radios because they send 5 or 8 volts up the mic cord, and that would power the electret condenser, and that worked just excellent on my ICOM base radios. So that is in the closet here also. I don't use it since I have all these other nice ICOM microphones, but I will get out one of these days and put it on. Maybe I'll put it on this radio next time. That'll teach you. And yeah, everybody sounds very good here tonight. The S meter on this radio is completely different than on my 991 over here that I usually use, so I'm not going to compare things. But I am using the preamp to hear these other guys, and when Dale changed antennas, yeah, and he came back, I could tell he was there. I could hear there was a voice, but I couldn't understand it either, but that's completely different from before. I didn't have any indication of his signal, and then I could hear him. So that was good. I was going to say that TOF should just limit his transmissions to 15 or 20 seconds. I think he'd be fine. Wouldn't have to worry about talking too long, and I'm sure he'd still be able to relay all the information. What else are you guys talking about? I don't make notes. That's the problem. Yeah, Steve, I don't know about that ski belt thing. I mean, here, all we had was slop all day long. If I had a couple of inches at any one time, that would have been a lot. I don't know. That will be fine. I guess if it's real snow up there in West Bend, then that would be usable, but they'll have to groom the heck out of it to make it usable because I think it's going to freeze. I think it's going to freeze today or tomorrow or something, and that is awful stuff if you just have to grind it up. Grind it and grind it until it works. I skied at Alpine Valley for like 20 years on the ski patrol, and yeah, it was pretty awful when we get this kind of stuff out there. The groomers would really have to work. Or if they made snow and it was right at the upper limit of temperature, it was just a huge, hard speed bump on the hill, and they'd have to really plow that around to make use of it. So hopefully there's real snow further up north than there is here. So like I said, I scraped the driveway and it was all melted. Everything, the rest of it was all melted off and gone within an hour and a half. So a little different down here. Plus I'm right on the shore of the lake. That keeps me about a degree warmer a lot of times. That helps too. So I got some driving around to do tomorrow and the next day, so I don't want any snow then. And then for our trip, I guess we're going to delay our trip probably till Sunday morning, maybe take off. I don't know. I don't want to fight with anything. I don't want to fight with the weather anywhere. So, I think that's about it. I'm sitting here staring at all my log sheets for the Badger weather net. I have a few years worth of them here, but I also write down a lot of the contacts I make on the radio on and around these sheets, so I have to go back and refer to these sheets to fill out my QRZ logbook. So, well, Dave, you got about as many contacts in the weekend as I have altogether. At least logged contacts. So, I don't pay attention to that. I do pay attention to some of them. Like to look back and see who I worked, but other than that, I don't spend too much time. But okay, I'm learning about this radio, so there may be some things I don't know yet. This 746 was really screwed up when I got it too. The audio was goofy and nobody could understand me. It sounded terrible, and I found there's all kinds of adjustments on here for receive audio, transmit audio, all kinds of things. So had got most of that straightened out. And my 991, that works very well. I don't have any complaints about it when people don't tell me my audio's bad. But I don't use it on VHF and UHF except for 2-meter sideband and 2-meter AM. So that's probably a lot different. All right, that's enough talking. This is a 73 round, so happy to hear everyone. Happy to be here, part of the group, and hope everyone has a safe week coming up here, I guess. Don't want anybody getting hurt with the snow. I say I don't lift snow anymore ever if I can help it. I just push it around. Not that I can't lift it, but I don't want to. 7-3, everybody. I'll be listening out, 10-9 CXK.
All right, thank you, Carol. I'll say 7-3 to you. And I do normally keep notes, but I, for whatever reason tonight, have not been writing things down, which is very bad, because then I expect that I wrote stuff down and I did not. But yeah, the snow is very heavy, very wet. It's when I got home. By the time I got home, my windshield had accumulated enough that I tried to brush it back off, and it was just a big, heavy, wet mess. I could hardly get it off the windshield. And that's got to be terrible for terrible for skiing. I have never been downhill skiing. Don't think I ever will. It doesn't really interest me. Done an awful lot of cross-country skiing though, and I know what this kind of snow does when it when it freezes for cross-country skiing. That is downright hazardous. And next we'll go to Dave. Dave, I'm pretty sure I know who those two guys that you were talking about, going back and forth, getting into politics and religion. I'm pretty sure I know who those guys you're referring to are. But that was a long time ago. I'd have to think hard to remember their call signs. And anyway, I will turn it over to you, Dave. It's your turn on the 7-3 round. WB9BWP from KC9UDX.
Okay. Yes, I'll say 73 to everybody here. And yeah, there's been all sorts of interesting things over the years on repeaters things. Let's see, I've never been downhill skiing. I've been downhill falling, but never downhill skiing. No skiing of any sort. And as I tell people, and this is true, I broke my leg walking in a parking lot. So I never wanted to try anything. Anything beyond simple walking. And I've never had a D104. I've seen plenty of them, but never actually had one. Right now I'm talking on a TS2000, and I'm using the stock hand mic, even though I don't really want to, because I have a LBRY 781 here, boom, and just have not done a microphone switch to go between the two radios. So I've been using the hand mic for a while. It's no big deal, but when I was running a number of them, it's nice to not use your hands to keep them free for other stuff. Because I do take notes in a steno book, like as if I was going to go back and refer to them. Because I could never find it, but it's in there. And I keep a log, not only, I'm weird like this, but I'm not, this isn't because I'm trying to track everyone like another ham that passed some time ago. But I do keep track of when I'm in the net. I keep a log of the net just so I know, oh yeah, I come up after this guy kind of thing. Depending on what else I'm doing in the room, so I'm there. But as a result, I have records of nets I've been in, separate from my other log. Yeah, all sorts of stuff. Anyway, I popped up once tonight, and I don't know if any of it made a whole lot of sense. So, but that's how I usually am. 73 to everyone here, always good hearing people on this net. This is WB9BWP.
All right, thank you, Dave. Say 7-3 to you. And I used to, excuse me, when I was net control on the nets and the repeaters, I had a hands-free setup here, cobbled together from a bunch of different things. I still have all the pieces somewhere. And that is handy. I got away from that because of this net. Because I really need to have the D104 and I have to talk close to it. And that was not compatible with the setup I had before. Someday maybe I'll do something different here. It kind of would be nice to have a foot switch, but then again, I don't know if I want to set up a boom or something else. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. And I also keep pretty good logs here, although I kind of have a disaster right now. They're piling up here. I keep a separate log sheet for every net. That's all my activity is these days. So, you know, when I started out, I logged every contact, and that was I don't regret that at all. But I have no desire to do that anymore. Not real practical anymore. And, you know, one of the other things I was going to talk about earlier, it's probably too late to bring this up now, but when my daughter got her license over a year ago, one of the first things we did, I'm thinking about this because we were talking about the FM simplex stuff, the first thing we did was set out a plan on 5 different UHF and VHF bands of frequencies to contact each other on. And we had a frequency we used on 440 the most, because never hear anybody else on there. And it's not a frequency that it was at the end of the range or in the middle. I did that on purpose, thinking there would be one nobody else would pick. And then we use tone squelch, because if we're using the radios near the house here, there's just too much interference. The squelch is always open. So we use tone squelch to prevent that, and we use them quite a bit. And my daughter went and walked down to the park, and I tried calling her, and I think we had messed up the programming in our radios, so we weren't on the same tone anymore. And actually, I think she was on a digital squelch, and I was on a DTM, or not DTMF, but a CTCSS. And so I'm calling her, and she's trying to call me, and I don't hear it or whatever. And then all of a sudden, I realize somebody else higher power is transmitting, so I open up the squelch, and here's a guy in Pewaukee saying that they're on that frequency, and we're kind of stepping on them. And I felt kind of stupid, because I usually make sure I'm not doing that. But because we never run into anybody else and we started using the tone squelch, I guess I stopped paying attention. So now I'll have to pick a different frequency, and hopefully we don't run into anybody else doing that stuff anymore. We use a 900 band, 902 band too. She didn't have that radio that day, and usually doesn't. That's why we don't normally do that, but it is nice using that, especially just because nobody else does. Nobody else uses that. At least not an analog FM. Well, not nobody. There are a handful of people, but you know what I mean. Anyway, Frank, I was going to mention earlier when we were talking about the clock, what this seller did with this clock made me think of another eBay seller excuse me, that I bought a record from. Vinyl records have a grading scale that everybody uses, and they have very specific meanings. And this seller made me really mad. This guy sold this record as VG Plus, very good plus, which is a very specific rating. And when I got the record, I pulled it out of the case, or out of the jacket, and there's just no way this guy ever did. The record was melted. I've never seen a record do this. You know, they used to warn you about leaving them out in the sun, and I guess I've never encountered it actually happening, but this record looked like somebody left it out out in the sun for a long time, or I don't even know what. I don't know how you do this. The record is completely smooth and unplayable. And when I contacted the seller, he really angered me because he said, "Well, I don't worry about that. I never take the record out of the sleeve. I don't want to damage it." Well, if that's what you're going to do, there's just no way in the world you could give it that kind of rating. Anyway, that's what I thought of as I was taking the bits and pieces out of the packaging that are left of that clock. Anyway, I'll turn it over to you, Frank. It's your turn on the 7-3 round W9JCC from KC9UDX.
Okay, I think you turned it back to me there, Matt. Is that right?
Yeah, I did. I guess my radio is finally starting to give up. I have been not paying attention to it because it's been working too good. But yeah, go ahead, Frank. It's your turn. KC9UDX.
Okay, you're breaking up very bad. You must have shifted our frequency or something there, Matt. Okay, I'm going to pass I have a lot of time here for getting back upstairs. So I will say 73s to everybody. And good hearing everybody tonight. Thanks, Steve, for the QST. Saved my butt again. And we'll turn it back to that. W9JCC 73s off.
All right, thank you, Frank. I'll say 7-3 to you. I gotta watch my meter here. I have a crystal. It should not be deviating, but I think it is. I'm pretty sure that's what's happening. I think it gets warm. Maybe I need a bigger fan. And next we'll go to Steve. Steve at 9FSE, it's your turn on the 7-3 round.
Alrighty. Just having the internet tell me about the 8-day OG clocks. So yeah, some of those are quite the devices there. And of course, many styles. To dig down that rabbit hole another day though, so that's pretty cool. But what did I have underlined here? Well, let's see. Carol keeps perking my ears up saying Real Snow. That's my one of my email accounts is realsnow@hotmail.com. That's what we see on when we're at Foxhill. And currently still a ski patroller at Foxhill. It's my primary patrol. And a little Swits where I ski the most, actually, because they're open more, and occasionally at the Rock. And there's got a few hams on the patrol up by us, and then also to know a few several retired ham patrollers here and there and around that are on the ham bands like Vic WT9Q and such. So it's neat to run into the alumni types out there as well. So that's really cool. And skiing conditions, things get set up hard. We have in Fox Hill we got 2 snowcats, one nice roller packer that has a comb attachment on the back for really clean surface. So they'll hopefully get to it tomorrow. If they haven't started already, depending on what they've got on the conditions, they'll wait for most of it to fall, and they'll get all the lower areas rolled out. Upper areas are going to have to do the usual boot pack, but if it isn't turned into ISTA base, if it's a breakable crust, we'll have a rough time of things. But we got used to that at Fox Hill, and it makes us better skiers if it doesn't break us. It's that or the rope toes. But very good on cross country with Matt. I think I heard that before, but I wrote it down. Snowmobile trail people are getting ready. I think they go grooming and Dodge and Washington. I think they got parts of Washington County they do. And you're going to have 4 machines out tonight, it said. Getting ready for that, because they've been delayed a little bit. Last season was like 1 weekend or something for the trails in Washington County. It was pretty thin, from what I recall last year, for those folks. And Matt was talking the D104 topic. I've never owned one. I had possessed one when I was moving that state one, but never owned one. But I do have a box of old crystal bikes from Johnson stuff, so if you get the older commercial Land Mobile round 5-pin Johnson mics, usually those have a crystal element within them. So sometimes that could be worth picking up some little used for, and basically unused commercial gear, which of course most of that's dried up at the swap fest. But I could dig one up if anybody runs dry on a crystal element here and there. Some of it was made, I don't know who made most of them, but also they had some were made by Shure, and I think Shure came out with a few of those. Probably, I think they're exactly crystal elements in that line of round connector mics from Johnson. And I gotta wrap everything up here real quick here and get on the sleigh and get back home so I can get the scoop out and see what I gotta square away on the driveway before it's too late for me up there too. So good to hear everybody out here tonight. See if look forward to everybody next week. We'll put it that way. And let's see if Dale's got anything further. At least he's out there. Yeah, he was pretty rough there, Matt, at the end, but that's the usual and the nominal things there. So Dale, you still with us? Thanks for everything. Hopefully we catch you again next month too. He said he never had a D104. It's not a 991 agency, plain old 991 he bought from Leroy. That's pretty neat. I keep thinking that might be a neat rig for if I can find one at a decent price, and then you pair that up with a SDR for the waterfall and all that. But I don't know if we'll ever get around to that. But you never know what turns up at the Hamfest some days. Working on the foot switch and the small pieces of cheese, and he's going to get going too. It's at 73, so that's the traffic out of Dale's station there, for those who may not have heard. With that, back up to Matt, KC9UDX, I'm going to say 73. This is N9F SE, over.
All right, thank you, Steve. Thank you, Dale. Say 7-3 to both of you. And I guess I got two comments for you, Steve. One is your email address. Since the first time I heard that, I think I use that term real snow a lot, and I always think about you whenever I say that. Yeah, I'm watching my output power slowly rise up. I think that that Crystal is having a hard time. And the other comment was on these OG clocks. You know, back when Made in USA was like what Made in China is now, that's what an OG clock was. Cheap junk. Just made to be mass produced and cheap. And that's how these things were regarded for a very long time. But I know they were not intended to be accurate timepieces, but they sure are. They have proven themselves. You know, some of these are 150 years old, and they keep time better than just about anything else. I've got a really good example of that. I've got one that's, I think, over 150 years old now, and it could use some bushings, but I didn't want to do that because it keeps time too well. That's the most accurate clock in my house. Anyway, before my radio stops here, I will say this concludes the 2 a.m. net. Feel free to reg chew on this frequency after my transmission. I don't think anybody's left. We will meet again on the 13th of February. And I had ideas about possibly taking that Monday and Tuesday off of work, but we'll see. I think I'll be here anyway. I was sort of concerned about mandatory overtime at work interfering with this net this year, but they have significantly cut our overtime. I don't think that will last, but it should last another month, so hopefully, I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, until the 13th of February, this is KC9UDX 73, and good night.